right? MMA people, I'm still here. Okay, we're gonna talk goats, clean goats. We're gonna talk clean goats, okay? Because the goat is the goat. We know who the goat. Okay, John Jones is the goat, but he has all these things on. Okay, all right. So we're gonna take out John Goat Jones. We're gonna take out Anderson Goat Silva. Yes, that's like the two, literally the goats. Okay, those are the two first heads on the Mount Rushmore for MMA. Now, Anderson's would come first, in my opinion, just because he's passed the torch to John. But we're not talking about them right now, okay? I'll tell you who we're not going to talk about. We're not talking about John. We're not talking about Anderson Silva. All right. So who do we got? We got GSP. That's a name that I hear so often when it comes to GOAT talk. GSP, I hear that so often. Especially when you eliminate John and Anderson. You get left with GSP for some reason, or you get left with Habib in most cases. I don't understand how Demetrius Johnson, if we're talking about clean, you have to no failed test. How is Demetrius Johnson not the GOAT? And if it's not him, how is Daniel Cormier not the GOAT? Demetrius Johnson, resume speaks for itself. The only loss in the UFC that he had was controversial as a title fight to Henry Cejudo. And Henry even said that was a controversial fight. He dominated the division so long and he never got a fair shake. Not only did he not get a fair shake then, he didn't get a fair shake now. And that was through pure dominance. We talk about Habib's dominance so often. But what about the dominance of Demetrius Johnson? If you cannot tell, this channel is not for the casual mind, for the casual fan base. This is for the hardcore fans, okay? We're not talking about, that's why I don't cover bullshit that's not even worth talking about. I'm not talking about Connor said this and he tweeted out so and so, bro. I don't want to hear that bullshit. All these MMA channels call themselves news and all that, but they cover tweets and Twitter. How Twitter is not news, folks. Twitter is not news. Facebook is not real. Social media, all that shit on MySpace and whatever, that is not real. You could post something and not even believe it, or just to see what people are going to say, and then it makes headlines, and you guys buy into that shit. We're not here to talk about Twitter, okay? But we are going to talk about Demetrius Johnson, who's now two-time champion in ONE FC, multiple-time champion in UFC. He's conquered basically two continents, okay? Two continents. Asia, North America. That and I'm sure he's fought in more places than that, but I'm saying that holding the divisional championship, the world championship in two different continents, in two different organizations, in two different rule sets. You can knee and strike people when they're down where he's fighting, and he still adapted through that. He went with Henry Cejudo. They met, added some to his game, come back around. Look, this man, if he's not the clean GOAT, then Daniel Cormier, the only person to reign in the light heavyweight division besides John Jones for a long time. He was holding when John Jones didn't have the belt. You bet you goddamn right, Daniel Cormier did. And if we're talking about John Jones, who it was cheating, so he's getting taken out of the discussion. The only person that Daniel was losing to was at time the cheater, John Jones, the GOAT. So those losses shouldn't even count against Daniel. So now we're talking about those losses don't count because John's out of the discussion because he was a cheater, right? So Daniel Cormier only lost to Stipe, and he also beat Stipe. And his losses to Stipe, the second one was the eye poke and all that. Okay? Who again? Stipe is considered the greatest heavyweight of all time. Daniel Cormier beat the greatest heavyweight of all time by knockout, first round. He held the heavyweight and light heavyweight championship at the same time. The only man to ever do that. The best, the biggest titles, the most prestigious titles you can have. Heavyweight champ and light heavyweight champ. He had both of those at the same time, folks. He's also a two-time Olympian. Two-time. Daniel Cormier has a great case to be made. Because he lost to the greatest heavyweight of all time in a trilogy, we're going to pretend that he's not in the discussion. Look at GSP's losses, the people that we put in there. Khabib, okay, he didn't. I still stand on this. His strength of schedule was not compatible with anyone else in the GOAT conversation, but he did his thing. But we have to take these things into consideration if we're going to be honest with ourselves when we're talking about who the GOAT is, who the greatest of all time is. All right, MMA House on MMA Block. We're in the middle of MMAville. As you can see, we keep it real.